Okay, now I'm going to show you how we make this little charge holder. This holds the micro USB charger on the inside bottom of the Bluetooth speaker. This part is actually the one that the chip is attached to. The other one just holds it down in place, so they're both equally important. But one thing different about this one, as you can see, this says 23. And if you have any idea of the size of our Bluetooth speaker, that clearly could not mean 23 inches. So we're going to kind of design this one kind of in millimeters, just to kind of get an idea of where we kind of get some of these measurements from. Real quickly, I'm going to go over the three features we have. We have two extrusions and we have a fillet. I'm going to show you the measurements. You can go, if you understand how it works, you can just use the measurements real quick, try it on your own, but I will be going step by step right after it. So to start, we have this extrusion one, and it's not, this hole does not actually get cut out, it gets extruded. So I'll show you what I mean. So I'm gonna show you what this sketch looks like. This sketch already has holes in it. So this is a 10 by 30 um, 10 by 30 millimeter rectangle with 3.7 millimeter holes equally spaced on either side. And if we see the front, it is 23 millimeters apart. It also gets extruded 4 millimeters. So let's see if I can remember all that. So we'll start our 2D sketch on the front as usual, the XY plane. I'm going to go ahead, do a 2-point center rectangle just because that is how we saw it earlier. Um, so if we remember, it was 10 millimeters. So I'm just going to type in 10 mm and it will do the conversion for me. So that's 3.94. 10 by 30 millimeters. That gives me 1.181. So it saves me a little bit of time, I guess. So I want to put a circle right through the middle, equally spaced on both sides. So the way I will do that is by using this vertical tool, which is why vertical constraint, which is why it's important that we chose the XY plane, because that means this is vertical. So if you can see, I can't move this left and right. I can only move it up and down. Let's go ahead and put our 3.7 millimeter dimension on it. And now I need to locate it vertically. So I'm going to do something called a center line. So I'm going to draw a line from the center out to the side. And I'm going to right click on it, turn it into a center line. So now when I put my dimension from here to the center, it automatically gives me the overall distance between it, which is going to be 23 millimeters. And real quick, I can just mirror that. I select that as a mirror. This center line is my mirror line. I hit apply. There it is, done. And we extrude it by 4 millimeters. There we go. So let's take a look back. So the next thing we got to do is take away this little recess, and it looks like all that means is we have 3.1 millimeters left over. So that means we could probably cut in by 0.9. There it is, 0.9. So it's a 0.9 cut. How tall is that rectangle there? Let's take a look at the sketch. 17.3 millimeters. So let's go ahead, start a sketch on this face, which I just single left click, moved it all the way to the right. And I'm going to go from center So in this case, since we're doing a cut, I can go ahead and do something like this. I can do an exaggerated cut. It's not always the best idea, not always the worst idea. Let's try it. And I'm going to do my center line. Turn this into a center line. And I'm going to dimension from here to the center line 17.3 millimeters. So I'll go ahead and do that to here as well. Whoops, that's why it's not always the best idea to do this way. I forgot to type in millimeters. Let's go and do a center point rectangle. That's better. That's what I should have done. Start with the center point, do your center line. So we know that the center point is going to be to the center on both sides. I'll type in 17.3 millimeters. Don't forget the millimeters. And I extrude it. Of course, I'm going to extrude it, change direction, and you can see it automatically changes from join to cut 0.9 millimeters because I only want this small section away to fit that little clip, the little chip. So if we take a look back, the last thing is we got to just round these edges. That's a pretty key thing in generally in design. You never want super sharp corners or edges or points anywhere. Those become high stress points and they also just hurt to touch. Let's take a quick look at it. Just a simple 1 millimeter fillet on, it looks like 1 millimeter radius on these four corners. And that's it. Can y'all figure that out? Let's try it. Fillet. 1 millimeter, does it work? Looks perfect. And again, if you selected the wrong one, hold Control, select it again to deselect it. And if you have an idea where a line is, like I know here's this line in the back, you can kind of x-ray through. But if you weren't able to do that, you can always just turn it around so you can see the edge to select it. Click OK. And the first part of our charge connector is complete.